Right, I think we're about ready to get started. Good morning, everybody. My name's Bernard. I'm the head of UK student recruitment here at the university, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to the University of Manchester this morning to our undergraduate open day. The first thing I want to say is just a big thank you for your patience as we got everybody seated this morning. We are a very big university and a very popular one. And we expect the open day to be extremely busy today, and it can just take us, we've got these fantastic spaces, we can accommodate a lot of people, but it can take us a little bit of time to get people into some of our kind of larger auditoriums. So thank you very much for your patience this morning and later in the day if you're attending some of our more popular information sessions or subject talks. We do expect to be very busy on campus. Now, the purpose of my presentation this morning is to introduce the university and the undergraduate student experience here. And for the students who are visiting with us this morning, for you guys in particular, I just want to try and give you a sense of what awaits you should you choose to come and study here at the University of Manchester. And here we are. The University of Manchester, we are one of the largest single-site universities in the UK. It's a very big university with a community of approximately 40,000 students studying here. And about 25,000 of those are undergraduate students from across the UK and other parts of Europe. And I think, this slide really well illustrates, I think, just the size and scale of the university, but also our proximity to Manchester city centre. So we're in the University Place building, which is a grey building just under the E of university. So if you come out of the front entrance of this building, if you turn right, then 10-15 minutes you can walk right into the centre of Manchester. I think what this slide also really well illustrates is even the most energetic amongst you who are here first thing and plan to stay the whole day, you are still only going to see today quite a small snapshot of what the university has to offer. So that's something that I tried to bear in mind when I was putting this presentation together. So I'm conscious, where are we? 20 past 9 on a Saturday morning. It's early still. And the last thing you are going to want to do is just sit there and read loads of written information off a PowerPoint presentation. So we're not doing that. Instead, I've just looked for some photos and some images of parts of the campus and parts of the city that you might not have the opportunity to reach today. And also some images like this next one, which I think just perfectly captures the essence of what it is to be a student here in Manchester. Now, I am, of course, joking. The weather that you are going to experience today, mid-20s, bright sunshine, that's typical of the weather that we get all of the time here in Manchester. Very seldom rains here. Now, your reaction suggests that you perhaps don't believe me. So clearly I'm going to have to prove this to you. And the way to prove anything, particularly at this university, the way to prove anything, the way to win any argument, is with reference to data. So in a quiet moment earlier in the week, I prepared a little data table for us. So the first thing to note is it's a very reputable source. I'm not making this up. This is UK Met Office. Average yearly precipitation, and you can see Manchester actually receives significantly less rainfall than other European cities that you might associate with better weather. So there you go. You can't argue with the data. Now, in these kinds of presentations, and I imagine you're going to be visiting other universities over the summer, into the autumn, attending other open days. You'll almost certainly, sit through introductory talks like this one. And in these kind of talks, it's considered really poor form to make direct comparisons to other UK universities. But I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. I'm getting a little bit off topic now, and I think I'm probably just playing for laughs. What I said at the outset I want to talk to you about is, what is it like to be an undergraduate student here? What can you expect? And what's distinctive about Manchester? What is it that perhaps separates us apart from some of the other universities that you might be thinking of applying to? And to begin to answer that question, I do think we need to go right back to the beginning and look at the history and heritage both of the university and of the city. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the history of the city of Manchester, best known as the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution. So Manchester was a hugely prosperous city around the turn of the 19th century, and all of the industry at that time was based around the production of cotton. It's often referred to as, Manchester's often called the original modern city. And at this time, the city will have been inhabited by mill owners and factory owners and scientists. And those individuals are really important because it was them who encouraged the spread of education across the city. They effectively needed a way to upskill their workforce, so they created a university. And we were founded in 1824, and this is the Whitworth Building, one of the original premises of the university in this part of the city on the Oxford Road. And this building is housing our Student Experience exhibition today. It's directly opposite University Place, and you'll be able to go inside this building. Over the years, the university's also seen a number of truly groundbreaking discoveries. Very difficult for me to do that justice in such a short presentation, but I've picked out just a couple of brief examples. So Manchester is the birthplace of modern computing. So the world's first stored program computer, affectionately called the Baby, was designed and built here in 1948 by these two gentlemen, Tom Kilburn and Freddie Williams. And there were other computers designed elsewhere around this time, but this was the first machine that had the ability to store its own memory, which is kind of the feature that we associate with modern computing today. So very much a world first in that regard. But we've also made really important contributions to civic society. So this is Christabel Pankhurst. She graduated from the university in 1906 with a degree in law, but she was unable to go on and practice because she was a woman. So instead, she committed her life to fighting that injustice and for fighting for women's right to vote. She became a leading light alongside her mother, Emmeline, in the suffragette movement. And as you move around campus today, I would just encourage you to keep an eye out for these blue plaques. So they are on a number of our buildings, and they commemorate the contributions and the achievements of staff who have worked here over the years. I'm not going to talk for too long, though, about history. I appreciate you're thinking of coming here as an undergraduate student. You're going to be much more interested in what the university has to offer you today. So I thought I'd start by talking about some of our facilities and some of the investment we've seen into the university over recent years. And I wanted to share with you, you're going to have the opportunity to explore today, but I wanted to share this kind of aerial footage which gives a slightly different perspective on our campus and also illustrates some of our new buildings and facilities. That's our new engineering campus, which houses our 4 schools of engineering and about 7,000 students. You saw our learning commons earlier, but you'll hopefully get an appreciation from some of this footage as well of, at the university there's this really nice blend between the traditional and the modern. We've got those original premises, the Whitworth Hall and the John Owens buildings, sitting side by side with some of these new facilities. And the investment has been significant. So over the course of the last 10 to 15 years, the university has invested about £1 billion in its estate, in new buildings and facilities, many of which are, student-facing or available to our students. Now, I want to touch briefly in my presentation this morning on research, because we are a research-intensive university, part of the UK Russell Group, if you're familiar with that collection of research-led universities. And there's a very important relationship between research and teaching here at the university. Again, I just wanted to pick out a couple of quick examples of the type of research that takes place here. The first of which is graphene. Now, I'm sure that many of you will have heard of graphene, particularly the physicists or the material scientists in the room. If you haven't heard of graphene, it's a new material. It was first discovered, first isolated here at the university in 2004 by two physicists, and they went on to be awarded the Nobel Prize for Physics for the discovery of this new wonder material. So as you can see from the slide, graphene's made up of a single layer of carbon atoms. So it's the thinnest and the lightest material known to man, but it's also the strongest. That's several hundred times stronger than steel. It's conductive of electricity. It's got some extraordinary properties. It's a very important discovery, and there is a lot of research and investment into the university looking at potential commercial applications of this material. But we are not just about, the university isn't just about science and engineering. I do want to reassure you of that. We have a huge faculty for the humanities. So we offer hundreds of humanities and arts-based courses, and that faculty is, it's equivalent in size to the University of Kiel. It's a very large faculty, huge breadth in teaching and in research. Again, I can only pick out one example, but this is a research project that stood out to me quite recently, that's being conducted by a colleague in our School of Arts, Languages and Cultures. So she is looking at how rap lyrics are being used, particularly in the US, in criminal trials, and how prosecutors are using rap lyrics to almost kind of infer bad character on the part of defendants, and how that has the potential to kind of prejudice criminal trials, but particularly in the US. Now, all of this research, I picked out those examples, this feeds into our teaching and learning. So students who come to study here, you will be taught by teaching and research staff who are truly world-leading in their field. In the latter years of your course, you can take optional course units studying things like kind of graphene or any of the kind of active research taking place here at the university. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about teaching this morning. I appreciate you're all going to leave here. You'll probably go next to a subject presentation and speak with staff and students. They're much better placed than I am to talk to you about how teaching and assessment and things like that are approached on the course that you're applying for. One thing I do just want to clarify is around how we teach. I think there's still a bit of a misperception, and this is perhaps a hangover still from the COVID-19 pandemic, but there's a bit of a misperception that universities have moved online and all of their teaching is delivered remotely. And I just want to reassure you that's absolutely not the case here at Manchester. We have very much returned to face-to-face, on-campus teaching. And if you come to study here, that will be your experience. You will be taught on campus, face-to-face by academic members of staff working alongside other students, actually on the campus itself. Now, obviously, over the course of the pandemic, for a time, all of our teaching did move online. So at very short order, we had to develop new digital kind of teaching material and resources and digital platforms to support kind of remote delivery of all of our courses. Now, the feedback from our students is that they really like that, they really value that. things like lecture capture. So we're recording all of our lectures now, and students can kind of revisit those as a bit of a revision aid. Our students have said, well, we still want access to that digital content. So we're still going to provide that. And the best way of thinking about this is that, if you come and study here, the approach is blended. So you're going to have, your face-to-face contact time, on-campus teaching, but you're still going to have access to all of these digital resources, our digital learning environment. So yeah, I just wanted to address that in this particular presentation, and my academic colleagues later today will talk in much more detail about teaching, learning, and assessment. Rather than talk about teaching, I'm going to just touch briefly on a program of co-curricular and extracurricular activities that we offer here called Stellify. And this is something that we have developed to support our students in developing kind of the skills and experiences we know they need in order to be successful upon graduation. So leadership, communication, teamwork skills. For students who engage with this program, everything's optional, but if you participate in some of the activities that I'm going to come on to talk about, and if you volunteer whilst working at university, while studying here, I should say, you can graduate with a Stellify award. So that's listed on your degree certificate. It's a great way of demonstrating, particularly to graduate employers, that you've done a huge amount at university outside of just your undergraduate course. So the type of things that you can participate in through Stellify include study abroad. So many of our students study overseas for either a single semester or a full academic year. And we have a huge range of international partner universities. So our students are studying out in, North America is a popular choice, but Canada, Australia, Southeast Asia, all over the world. But we're equally keen to encourage students to expand their horizons academically. And we are now offering through our university college course units that enable students to study something that's unrelated to their undergraduate course. So to give you an example of that, if you come here to study history, through University College, you can opt to study, it's usually an optional 10-credit course unit, but in a subject that's completely unrelated to history. So it might be something like artificial intelligence, sustainability, future cities, an introduction to Mandarin, loads of different course units on offer. And we're really keen to promote this. I've spoken about this incredible environment where we have all of these world-leading kind of research and teaching staff. If you came here and you just studied history in isolation of everything else, we feel that would be a real kind of missed opportunity. You should be able to step outside of the boundaries of your degree program, explore your interests, your intellectual curiosity, and we are enabling students to do this through University College. And if this is something you're interested in, we've recently launched 3 taster course units that are all delivered by members of academic staff here. They're publicly available, and they introduce students and prospective students to some of these topics. It's not a big time commitment. They're about an hour in duration to complete. So if you're interested in in this initiative, or if you're thinking of applying here, you perhaps want to be able to demonstrate that commitment on your personal statement, for example, you might like to have a look at some of these taster course units. Now, the other element of this Stellify program is something we called Ethical Grand Challenges. And this links to a big commitment that the university has made to social responsibility. So we are very committed to being a socially responsible organisation and a force for positive change in the world. And there's lots of ways in which we can do that through research and discovery like graphene, but the biggest contribution we can make is actually through our students, because there are so many of them. So we're going to produce about 500,000 graduates over the course of the next 40 to 50 years, roughly. So the values, the behaviours of our students, that probably represents the biggest contribution we can make to the creation of a fairer society and a better world. And that, appreciate that probably sounds like quite a lofty ambition, but it's something we're really committed to, so much so that our students all participate in this Ethical Grand Challenges programme, where on each year of their undergraduate degree, they'll be exposed to these topics around sustainability, workplace ethics, and social justice. And of course, Stellify, Ethical Grand Challenges, it's all building employability skills. And I think the success of our students academically, their engagement with these kind of programs is evident in the kind of levels of employability we see in our graduates. And we are heavily targeted by the UK's top 100 graduate employers. Okay, I don't want to run on past kind of 10:15, because I appreciate you're going to be moving on to some of your subject presentations, and they'll start at 10 o'clock, but I promise to leave you plenty of time to make your way to those. I'm just going to change direction now and talk just very briefly about the City of Manchester, because it is the reason that a lot of students come and study here at the university. Probably don't need to say too much. It's a very large, cosmopolitan city, a huge community of students. So we have two other universities in the city, Manchester Metropolitan University and Salford. So collectively, there are around 90,000 students studying in Manchester. Very vibrant music scene. We'll just check on what that alarm relates to. I'll reassure you it's not the fire alarm. No, I think we're fine. I'll carry on. Yeah, Manchester's music scene. We've got hundreds of music venues across the city, including 3 here at the university. So we get some quite big name artists actually coming to perform here at the university. It's also a city that's hugely passionate about sport, and I'm sure many of you will recognise this image from outside Old Trafford, Manchester United Stadium. Just to give you a quick example, though, of how passionate Mancunians are about their sport and their football in particular. I've been delivering a version of this presentation for a number of years now, and I've always used this slide. And a couple of years ago, I was approached after one of my presentations by a gentleman in the audience. I think he was accompanying his daughter at the open day. So he came up to me and he very politely pointed out that the University of Manchester, that Manchester United isn't the only football team in the city. And he asked for my email address, which I thought was a bit unusual, but he seemed like a reasonable guy. There was no reason not to give it to him. So I gave him my email address. It was a Saturday open day like this one. So I went home, I completely forgot about it. I came back into the office on Monday morning, and it actually emailed me an additional slide for inclusion in my presentation. So there it is, not to offend any of the City fans. I'm going to start to kind of wrap up now, though, in kind of the last 5 minutes, and I just wanted to pose this question. Is Manchester the right choice for you? Because obviously, that's the question that you're all kind of grappling with today. And to finish, I want to share with you a really brief video. It's only 2 minutes. It's not your typical university promotional video. It's a video that was commissioned for the installation of a former chancellor. It's a guy called Lem Sisay. And Lem is a poet. And in some of his words that I'm about to share, I think there's a really important message about not what we're good at as a university, not what we stand out for, but what we actually stand for as a university.
Open the dawn in the open sky, the laboratory, open the book, open the challenge with open eyes. Open, out, look. Open all minds, open all dreams, research, question, open all doors, open all senses, open all defenses. Ask, what were these closed for? In the possibilities of light, the nature of trust, the strength of unassailable us. how strong the night lies as light aerates the dark, and atomic dreams multiply from a graphene heart. We who have walked the world in the name of here and where we came from, stand in this great city and say, I belong here. I belong. I bring my past, I bring my future, I bring my rights and I bring my song. I stand atop the University of Manchester. We belong here. We belong.
Well, that's very profound for a Saturday morning, isn't it? But, in all seriousness, I'm ending with that because, in Lem's words, I think there is a really important message about place and about belonging, and just seemed really relevant today and to, young people who are thinking about coming to the city and, creating a new life for themselves here. And I really want that to be the take-home message of this presentation. You're going to go on your way in a minute and spend the rest of the day with people talking at you, telling you what a reputable, what a prestigious university this is. And we make no apology for that. We are an elite university, but we're not an elitist university. And I do hope you get a sense of that today, a sense of what a diverse, what an inclusive, what a welcoming university this is. And again, for the students with us this morning, like for you guys, when you finished up today, when you're heading home, I just hope there's absolutely no doubt in your mind about how welcome you would be if you choose to come and study here. So I'll leave it there, but thank you again for visiting with us and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.